Hey, it's John, and welcome to the interview. Today, I am joined by Adam Goodman, who is the president and CEO of Goodman's Interior Structures. Under Adam's leadership, Goodman's was named to the Game Changers 500 list as one of the top 500 companies in the world using business as a force for social change. In 2015, Goodman's became the first B Corporation registered in the state of Arizona, and in 2018, Goodman's was recognized as the top social responsibility company among the Arizona Republic's top companies. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Adam's journey as an entrepreneur, how he uses his company to engage the community for the better good, and how Goodman's engages his employees for better company culture. So we're going to talk about those topics today. Adam, thanks for stopping by.
Glad to be here. Thanks for the invitation, John.
Thank you for coming on the show here. Just tell the listeners a little bit about your background, the Reader's Digest version of the life of Adam up to this point.
This is a third-generation 65-year-old family office furniture business my grandfather started when he moved out here from Philadelphia. And I think the most important thing to understand about my background is this is the last thing that I wanted to do with my career. I worked in the warehouse every summer and spring break and winter break all through high school and college, and truly there was nothing particularly interesting about selling cubicles and file cabinets. I wanted to be a newspaper publisher. That was my big grand ambition, and to be able to, the way a newspaper can make an impact on a community, the way it can set an agenda. It's still today, even though, all the jokes and fake news and newspapers and all this, the truth is, you show me a community, I'll show you who's setting the agenda. It's going to be the newspaper almost every time. So that's the background. But look at me now. Look where I am now. I'm here in the family business.
So what made you do it? Did your dad, give you a couple of slaps or something and said, "Son, take over the business," or how did you get into that?
It's like you were there with me, yeah. I did go to work for Gannett Newspapers, and I was on a fast track to be publisher, and bouncing around the country with a hope to be a publisher by the time I was 30 years old, which would have been, but it would have been in some rural town somewhere in the South or something like that. Not that there's anything wrong with rural towns in the South. He did pull me aside over Thanksgiving one year when I came back. He said, "Look, if you ever want to know what it's like to own your own business, if you ever want to have the experience of being in a family business, now's the time. You can always," this is a great line, by the way, "you can always go back to newspapers." Yeah. What did he know? But this is the time. You don't want to rise too high in the newspaper world before you can step back. So I gave it a try back in 1993, and still trying.
You're still trying, huh?
Still trying.
Newspaper business, yeah. So you took over your dad's business. How long was that? How long ago was that?
I came into the business in 93. Yeah. We did this really interesting transition in the early 2000s that was so seamless, really, is the only word for it. It was so clean. He liked to say it was like a relay race, and his strides were getting shorter and my strides were getting longer, and you can't really tell where that baton passed. It just kind of it passed. I can't give you the day or month or even the year of when the actual transition happened, but it happened. I mean, there's no big announcement or anything like that. It just sort of happened, and here I am.
There you go. So tell us about what you guys do at Goodman's then, for everybody listening.
Well, we're an office furniture distributor, and we're partners with Herman Miller. It's a 51-year relationship with our primary supplier, Herman Miller, and also GoodART, prefabricated architectural interiors. And that's, every city's got a couple of guys like us, and there's nothing particularly, although I want to be clear, we've got the best service and the lowest prices, but other than that, there's nothing particularly different than what we do. Which really gets to the crux of what didn't interest me about being in this business is I didn't want to be just selling stuff. That didn't really feel right to me or didn't give me any kind of sense of purpose. I was in the business for about 10 years when I came in, and I learned the business and I got skilled at it, but it wasn't fulfilling, and I really kind of reflected back on what it was about being in the newspaper business. What attracted me to that? What was it that was so compelling about that? And I articulated before, it's that ability to make an impact on your community. And I decided that I was going to take Goodmans, this at the time 50-something-year-old business, and pivot the whole purpose of the company to making an impact on the community. And that was that's a challenging process, I must say. But the only way I was going to be able to stay engaged and be able to wake up every day inspired and anxious to come to work was if there was a higher purpose to what we're doing. And that's a journey to go on. But I stand before you today, and we certainly are there. Our declared impact is to make a difference in the community, make it a change in the community. And we're a B Corporation. In 2011, we became a B Corporation, the first one in Arizona. And are you familiar with B Corporations?
Yeah, I mean, somewhat, but go ahead and elaborate.
Okay. I usually get stopped out. What do you mean? What's that? It's a legal entity right. Of an organization like an S Corp, C Corp, LLC. A benefit corporation means that you exist not just for the purpose of creating wealth for the shareholders, although that's certainly important, but also for the community, the environment, and your people. And it's not enough just to say it. You got to actually put it in your charter in a legal document. It's not enough to even do that. You actually have to get audited every 2 years to prove you are who you say you are. It's just timely we're having this conversation. You saw the Business Roundtable statement earlier this week with 190 or so CEOs of major companies came out and said two things essentially. One, that business has a purpose beyond just creating profits for the shareholders. Well, that's what I've been saying for all this time. And two, there are other stakeholders that we have to pay attention to, like the community, the environment, or people, or suppliers, and et cetera, not just exclusively the shareholder.
All right. So that sounds like an interesting discussion there. It sounds like Milton Friedman was wrong then, right? As far as like the business's only purpose being for profits. It's awesome to hear so many people thinking more about stakeholders as a whole instead of just profits at all costs kind of thing. So very cool.
Yeah, if you see Milton Friedman, you tell him he was wrong. That motherfucker was wrong. Huh? Yeah. Sorry. Is that okay? Can I say that on the podcast?
I don't think he's going to come after me, has he? Right.
Okay, good. As recently as today, back to the newspaper, as recently today, there's a editorial column from a local columnist here in Arizona talking about how wrong-headed this whole idea, he was basically defending Milton Friedman. And so I find that so interesting that the conversation has risen to another level. And so we're living in exciting times, John.
That's cool. Well, let's pivot to your higher purpose, and maybe we'll keep it to a Reader's Digest. We could probably talk for an hour on this, but it's always fascinating because you're selling basically office furniture and cubicles and things like that, and that was really disinteresting to you as a kid because you're like, wow, that's boring. I want to do something more impactful. And a lot of people feel that way, I think, about their companies, right? I interviewed Stephen Hall. I think you may know Stephen, who's on the board at Conscious Capitalism. He runs basically a nearly new used car lot, basically. But he's done some amazing things with his employees, and he looks at his business almost as a personal development tool for his employees. And there's a lot of good we can do, even with companies that maybe aren't as sexy, quote unquote, as some of the others out there. So you mentioned that you kind of shifted your thinking more around making an impact with your company, and that's really what got your juices going. Can you talk a little bit about specifically what your higher purpose is and how you were using your company to engage the community and people in general?
Sure. I went through a really interesting exercise. Around this time, I was wrestling with all this. I interviewed every one of our employees and dozens of customers. And I asked each group one question. The employees, I asked, why do you work here? And the customers, I asked, why do you do business with us? And I really didn't even know. I must have read this in a book or something. I don't even know where I got the idea from. It doesn't sound like something I would have thought of, but I went through with it. And I would write on yellow legal pads. I would record everything they would say and just fill up these yellow legal pads, not synthesizing the information as it came in, just letting it kind of wash over me. And I pulled it all out one day when I was on a flight back from Orlando to Phoenix, and which is a long flight. That's why I mentioned the geography, and read the whole thing cover to cover. And I let it all jump out. And what I heard is we do a lot of business with healthcare customers, hospitals and the like. And they very specifically talked about the work we do helps patients to heal faster, to make the families more comfortable to be around the patients, to make the caregivers safer, and how important that is. And I thought, my goodness, that's way more noble than I thought we were doing. We do a lot of work with universities, colleges and universities, and they said that we're actually, in fact, some of them had said they have data to prove that the work we did in the classroom is actually improving student learning outcomes, which is really, again, very gratifying. And we do a lot of work with governments. The governments was super interesting. They said the work we're doing with them, by helping them reuse their existing furniture instead of buying new furniture, we're actually lowering the cost of government, which, if you're a taxpayer, that's kind of a big deal. And then finally, the corporations said, you are making us more competitive. You are helping us to attract and retain better talent. You're helping us to pursue our objectives, and that makes us more competitive. Our employees talked about their pride of working here, about our reputation, about what we do in the community, and how much pride they feel about that. And I kind of smashed that all together and pulled back from 30,000 feet to look at it and said, you put all that together, that's changing the community. We are making an impact. And I mean, just every day in what we do is making an impact. So my job became to help employees, and I mean every employee, whether it's the receptionist or the person receiving trucks in the warehouse, whoever you are, to draw the direct connection between what you're doing today and how it impacts the community. And I went on a multi-year, well, I'm still on that. I'm constantly reminding people and explaining, hey, you're a designer. You did such a fantastic job with this hospital tower. The work you did in that hospital tower is going to help patients to heal faster. You can be very proud of that. That's making an impact. On top of that, I challenged everybody in the company to look at all of our surplus assets, resources, and talent. I'll say it again because it's tricky there. Our surplus, keyword, assets, resources, and talent, and whatever that we have, what do we have that we can use to deploy for the benefit of the community? And that was a really interesting challenge, and it still goes on today. That challenge is kind of evergreen. And people came back with all kinds of really ridiculous ideas, but ridiculous in a good way. And several of the ideas we are still doing today. I can tell you about some of them if you'd like to hear about them.
Yeah, I'd love to hear some specific examples so that maybe even for small businesses or businesses of any size, like what are some ideas or examples that they can do to engage the community?
So we have people who are very talented, know how to design office environments. We have warehouses, we have trucks. These are all assets that we have. We have pockets of money that we spend on marketing or different things. So those are all the kind of how do we redeploy that? So in 2009, we had a salesperson in Tucson who came to me and said, look, there's a huge need in Tucson for a foster clothing bank. That there are 4 in Phoenix, but there are none in Tucson. And we have warehouse space. We've got trucks that can pick up clothes. We have people who can fold and sort clothes on their lunch breaks. We've got everything we need. Why don't we become the foster program? And this has nothing to do with office furniture, but that's not the purpose of the company, is it? The purpose of the company is to make an impact in the community. So here's a community need, and we've got the resources. Without spending a whole lot of cash, we can do this. So in 2009, we became the foster clothing bank for Southern Arizona, and getting about 100 to 150 families in every month to come get books, toys, clothes, strollers, whatever the stuff you need is when you get a foster child. We, about 4 years ago now, we took a 5,000 square foot space that was just surplus space in our office, and we created a full boutique in there. And so now you imagine you get a knock at the door in the middle of the night and someone hands you a 3-year-old as a foster child. Now you can come to Goodman's, get all the stuff that you need for that child, and go on about your way. That's making an impact on the community. pretty proud of that. Other examples. So when we deliver a desk and a chair to you, John, what almost always happens, we deliver the desk and chair, and you say, thank you, and then you say, oh, by the way, would you mind getting this old stuff out of here? Could you just clear this out? Right. So we take that furniture from you, and if we existed for the purpose of creating wealth for the shareholders, if that was our only purpose, this is a great deal because it's 100% profit margin. But because we have a higher purpose, because we exist to make an impact in the community, that we look at your surplus desk and chair as an asset that we can redeploy for somebody else. So we have this giant space in our warehouse, and we have all this surplus furniture in there, and every single day we have nonprofits come in to select conference rooms and reception areas and private offices, whatever it is they need. They can haul it away for free, or they can pay us to deliver it. We do several hundred nonprofits a year come and take advantage of this. Millions of dollars of furniture has been redeployed out to nonprofits. We want the nonprofits to be able to spend their minimal resources on their mission and not have to worry about office furniture. So there is yet another example. I've got bunches of these things.
That sounds good. So just for maybe a 1-minute discussion here, like what are just some other examples in your minds of like other ways businesses can more generally engage, just be more involved and do more good in their community? Do you mean do you have like top level contextual stuff beyond what you're doing specifically?
Yeah. I guess I'd start with it depends on what your purpose is. And sure. If your purpose isn't, then bolting on some kind of corporate social responsibility program to me feels a little hollow, and frankly I think to employees it feels a little hollow. It's got to resonate all the way through. So we're real careful not to let's put it this way, we have no CSR department here, right? I own it, everybody here owns it, and that's baked into the DNA of who we are. If you're looking for ideas, one thing that we are fond of doing is finding a nonprofit and wrapping ourselves around them. So we get super engaged in a nonprofit. There's an organization in town called Read Better, Be Better. They're a small nonprofit, and they've figured out that a way to teach third graders to read using eighth graders as mentors. It's a really innovative way to do it. And by the way, third grade is the Mendoza line. If you don't know how to read by the time you leave third grade, the rest of your life is pretty well determined in terms of substance abuse and incarceration and all kinds of really horrible things. It's because before third grade, you're learning how to read. After third grade, you're reading to learn. You better know. So this nonprofit has come and focused on this issue of third grade reading. Well, we've surrounded them with all kinds. For example, obviously we gave them free furniture. That was they do a big golf tournament every year. Our trucks are moving stuff around for them. We give them that to be able to do that. They did a big pitch competition where they were competing for a big prize at a pitch competition, and we coached them up on that thing, and they won $40,000 on that. Every year they do a marketing report, like an annual report to all their donors. We put that whole thing together for them. Our marketing team does it. It's just a little side project we do. We're constantly meeting with them, like, what else do you need? How can we help? Where do we have resources that we can deploy to you? Ballet Arizona is another one we surround with. We're big fans of the ballet. Think about this. Most companies have some sort of employee picnic or something like that every spring, right? So there's a pot of money that we might otherwise spend on our employee picnic. Ballet Arizona needs support, right? And we wanted to be able to give it to them, incremental support beyond what they get. So we said, all right, how about we take that pot of money we would have spent and let's give it to you at the ballet, and we'll bring all our families, kids, everything comes to the ballet. They'll get to see an art form that many people have never been exposed to before, which is really fantastic work they do there. And we'll have hot dogs and beanbag toss and all the picnic stuff right there in the lobby of Ballet Arizona. That was a way to support them, take care of what we're trying to do, and really didn't spend a dime extra.
That's cool.
There's a whole bunch of these ways we're finding. Okay, can I give you one more?
Real quick, here we go.
It is our 65th anniversary right now this year.
Congratulations.
So, well, thanks. Obviously, many people have a big party, big blowout party. There's a pot of money that you're going to spend to do something. What we've done is we built a website called Do Gooders AZ, And Do-Gooders AZ is looking for, we're looking for 20 partner companies to be alongside of us. And each one of these 20 companies we're asking them to find someone in the nonprofit community that inspires them. So Goodmans, we're one of 20. Each company finds one person in the nonprofit community, and we give that person a gift. The gift could be as simple as a dinner for two at a restaurant. It doesn't matter what the gift is. We happen to be giving chairs because we have chairs, but it doesn't matter. We go on the website and we type why this person, this receptionist at the YMCA, why she inspires us and how she greets people every day. Now here's the cool thing. Then she, the receptionist at the YMCA, she gets to pick somebody who inspires her in the nonprofit community. And now we'll give that person a gift, a chair in our case. And there's 20 companies doing this. And this is imagine these threads of do-gooders going around the city and highlighting all this good work through social media and the whole thing. That whole pot of money we would have spent on the big party with the ice sculptures and everything, instead we spent it on building this website and starting this whole program. That kind of thing.
That's awesome. Yeah. So everybody listening, you think of the assets, talents, and resources that you have that you could be doing good in the community with. You heard a lot of great examples here from Adam. So awesome work. Let's pivot more internally then to employees and culture. I know we were going to talk a little bit about that, but I think Gallup put out a poll that said like 2/3 of employees are disengaged in their jobs and things like that. Why do you think that is?
I suspect it has something to do with why I was a little bit disengaged all those years ago. There's this lack of a feeling of a higher purpose to what I'm doing. If I am just a cog in a wheel creating wealth for somebody else, then this doesn't feel so good to me.
Right.
That's my guess.
Yeah, no, and we already probably touched on this or wove this in through the first conversation, right? If people all want to be involved in something bigger and better than themselves, and after people. It's just like Maslow's triangle, right? Once you have your needs met, your security met, then you want to belong to something. And then once you belong to something, you want to have that self-actualization of bigger purpose and all that kind of stuff. And every human being wants that. So I imagine a big part of why you've been able to engage your employees has been through the work you've done in the community, being really clear in, like you said earlier, tying their job, their role to something important, something big, something exciting beyond just, like you say, working on a computer for whatever time.
Bingo.
Yeah. So what makes how do you set up something like that? Is it really, as the saying goes, start with the leader, the CEO, you, and then goes down from there? Is that like what makes for a good leader, and how do you install something like that besides just starting initiatives outside the company?
There's no shortcut to that. It is 100% starts with leader. We had a huge advantage, I think, however, a very unfortunate but huge advantage, and that is a recession came, and our company had to get cut in half. And so by this point, we've been at this a couple of years, or I guess I should say I've been at it a couple of years, and our leadership team bought in. They were on board. They believed it. They intellectually and spiritually got what we're doing. We had a lot of people, as you can imagine, in the company. Think about this. I was in high school when a lot of these people were working. They'd seen me grow up, and in a big sense, I was just a punk owner's kid. And now here I am talking about purpose and community and like that, this will go away kind of thing. And so when it came time for us to shrink the company in half, really quickly we decided it's not about tenure, it's not about talent, it's not about performance, it's about who believes what we believe. And if we can just get a crew, a team that believes what we believe, we can deploy them in the spots they need to be. We can cover all the bases we need to be covered. But the most powerful thing we can do is have a committed group of people who have the same purpose. And so if it hadn't been for that, honestly, I don't know. We may still be struggling trying to get this ship upright. I don't know the answer to that. But we got it real quick, and that was pretty powerful.
How important is it to have fun at work for everybody?
I mean, well, I can't imagine not having fun at work. Yeah, it sort of has. Look, the way our leadership team talks about our people is this, that our people have stressful home lives and kids and spouses, and then they come here, and this is not all cookies and ice cream. I mean, this is a stressful job too. But we don't own our employees, right? That's the big message. They are on loan to us from their families. And our responsibility as a leadership team is to return them back to their families at night in better condition than we got them in the morning. And that little phrase right there, if you can get that philosophy embedded into your culture, it informs a whole lot of activities about the way you treat people and the things you do and what you offer. So there are a zillion things that we do based on that. Before we got on this call just now, I was in our nap pod taking a nap. We have this great, cool device over there that you go in, you put the headphones on, and it lets you nap for 20 minutes, and then it wakes you up after the 20 minutes. I just needed a post-lunch sort of a refresher, and instead of hunting around for chocolate, I just took a nap. It's important that everybody sees me taking a nap. I want everybody else taking a nap. The idea that you can exist, people think they can exist on 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, and it's not true. It's not healthy, and it's an epidemic in this country. And
Yep.
So we pay employees, if you will go take a nap and then blog about your experience in the nap pod internally so that everybody else sees it, you get $100 as a way to build up that momentum toward getting people napping. It was next to the treadmill desk, which is where I took my conference call yesterday. We're in the middle of a big walking competition. Teams, how many steps can you take a day? So I had a 45-minute conference call, and I got in about 2,800 steps or something like that on the conference call. Lots of these we have stretching every day, 11 o'clock, neighborhood walks, all kinds of things aimed at yoga classes, trying to work on the physical, spiritual wellness.
So you're if anyone ever says the CEO is sleeping on the job, it's literally true in your case then.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But,
and metaphorically true. Both, literally and metaphorically.
Yeah, thank you for elaborating on a few examples, because I was going to ask that as far as, so it's like you have walking competitions, sleeping, yoga, meditation. Like when you say you want to return your employees back home better than they came in, so you basically also look at it like kind of a personal development type of situation. Not only are they feeding your company and working with your company, but they're also doing self-care and managing themselves and optimizing themselves in order, because, no one can work 8 hours straight, right? Like laser focused on everything with hardly any breaks or anything like that. And the quality of work you're going to pump out is going to be crappy, right? So, so that's awesome that you're optimizing your employees there, your teammates. Yep.
That is, that's absolutely true.
Cool. Let's switch to you as we wrap this up then. What are your thoughts around your life and working career? What are you most proud of to this point?
What am I most, aside from my family?
Sure.
Okay. We're going to assume that the family.
Yeah, we're assuming that.
What am I most? I guess it is. I'm proud of our reputation in the community for making an impact. I mean, we're known as. Obviously, we're good at what we do in terms of functionally in office furniture. So I am clearly proud our customers appreciate us and support us. But I should say this, and this is an important point too. I don't think we get a lot of business because of this philosophy, because of our purpose. I'm sure there's some we get. In fact, I know there's some we get, but really not most of it. And by and large, I like to say people don't really care that we're a B Corp unless we're the low bid, and then they seem to care that we're about it. So that wasn't your question. I veered off topic there for a little bit. I guess the point I'm trying to make is it's important to me that we're doing this for a pure reason and for the purpose of a higher meaning, as opposed to doing it to get more sales, right? Like that.
Right.
And in my head, the moment I start thinking that way, is I lose the purity, and I'd really rather not think that way. So so that being said, so I'm proud of the impact we make. I mean, my goodness, we do some incredible things here in the community, and both with the furniture and what it allows our customers to do, and also enabling and empowering nonprofits to make an impact. That's incredibly gratifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my kids. And my kids, also my kids. Did I say that already?
Everyone says their kids, of course. You know,
okay,
it's like, okay, what else?
Right.
What else? You know. Like awesome. Well, Adam, thanks so much for sharing some inspiration and some examples of how companies can better engage the communities and be more involved. And like you say, from going from a kid that kind of looked at maybe an office furniture business as boring to something that really inspires yourself and, you know, is a vehicle for good. I think there's so many businesses out there, individuals that, you know, look at their work and kind of, or their business and kind of go, what good can I do with this? Or I'm kind of bored with this. But, you know, you've shown an example here for others to follow as far as, you know, business is business. That's great. But, you know, as we talked about, how can you engage your stakeholders in your community and everything like that? You know, and you gave some great examples. So any final words you'd like to leave us with, and then we'll wrap this up. No,
there's no final words I would like to leave you with. I feel like I've said it all.
You've exuded enough, huh? Well, where can people find out more about you specifically? I'll link up your website below the video here, and then any other things you want to draw attention to, or any if someone wants to reach out to you to talk about business or
be happy to. Adam Goodman at Goodmans.com. That number again, Adam Goodman at Goodmans.com. You can check out DoGoodersAZ.com. That's launching here soon. And you can check out our 60th anniversary at ChairReaction.com. ChairReaction.com, which was also pretty cool. But I'll let you discover that on your own.
All right. Sounds good. All right, my friend, thanks so much for coming, and hope everybody enjoyed this discussion with Adam Goodman, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Pleasure. Thanks, John.